The use of polyvinyl chloride, commonly known as PVC, conduit under concrete slabs in healthcare facilities is generally not permitted. This prohibition stems primarily from concerns related to fire safety and the potential release of toxic fumes in the event of a fire. Healthcare facilities, due to their critical function and the vulnerability of their occupants, are subject to stringent building codes and regulations that prioritize life safety. These regulations often exceed the requirements for standard commercial or residential buildings. One of the primary reasons for restricting PVC conduit under slabs is its limited fire resistance. PVC is a thermoplastic material, meaning it softens and forms under high temperatures. In a fire situation, PVC conduit can melt and contribute to the spread of flames. Furthermore, when PVC burns, it releases toxic fumes, including hydrogen chloride, which can pose a significant health hazard to patients, staff, and first responders. The presence of these fumes can hinder evacuation efforts and complicate fire suppression activities. Alternative conduit materials, such as rigid metal conduit, or RMC, and electrical metallic tubing, or IMT, offer superior fire resistance compared to PVC. These metal conduits can withstand higher temperatures and do not readily contribute to the spread of flames. In addition, they do not release toxic fumes when exposed to fire. Consequently, RMC and EMT are often the preferred choices for electrical installations in healthcare facilities, particularly in areas where fire safety is a paramount concern. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical installations in various types of buildings, including healthcare facilities. While the NEC does not explicitly prohibit the use of PVC conduit under slabs in all situations, it does include provisions that address the specific requirements for healthcare facilities. These provisions often reference other codes and standards, such as those published by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, which may impose stricter limitations on the use of PVC conduit. Local building codes and regulations also play a crucial role in determining the permissibility of PVC conduit under slabs in healthcare facilities. These local codes may incorporate the NEC and NFPA standards, but may also include additional requirements that are specific to the jurisdiction. Therefore, it is essential to consult with local building officials and electrical inspectors to determine the applicable regulations for a particular project. In some cases, the use of PVC conduit under slabs may be permitted if it is encased in concrete with a sufficient thickness to provide adequate fire protection. However, the specific requirements for concrete encasement, such as the minimum thickness of the concrete and the type of concrete mix, will vary depending on the applicable codes and regulations. Furthermore, even with concrete encasement, the use of PVC conduit may still be restricted in certain areas of the healthcare facility, such as operating rooms and critical care units, where fire safety is of the utmost importance. It is also important to consider the potential for damage to the PVC conduit during and after installation. PVC conduit is relatively brittle and can be easily cracked or broken if subjected to excessive stress or impact. If the conduit is damaged after the concrete slab is poured, it can be difficult and costly to repair or replace it. This can lead to electrical failures and safety hazards. For these reasons, it is generally recommended to use more durable conduit materials such as RMC or EMT for under slab installations, especially in healthcare facilities where reliability and safety are paramount. In addition to fire safety and durability, another consideration is the potential for chemical interactions between the PVC conduit and the surrounding concrete. PVC can react with certain chemicals in the concrete, which can degrade the conduit over time. This degradation can weaken the conduit and make it more susceptible to damage. To prevent chemical interactions, it is important to use a compatible concrete mix and to ensure that the conduit is properly installed. It is also recommended to consult with a qualified engineer or concrete specialist to determine the best practices for concrete encasement of PVC conduit. When considering the use of any type of conduit under slabs in healthcare facilities, it is essential to conduct a thorough risk assessment. This assessment should take into account the potential hazards associated with fire, smoke, and toxic fumes, as well as the potential for damage to the conduit and the consequences of electrical failures. The risk assessment should also consider the specific characteristics of the healthcare facility, such as the type of patients served, the layout of the building, and the fire protection systems in place. Based on the risk assessment, appropriate measures should be taken to mitigate the identified hazards. These measures may include the use of alternative conduit materials, concrete encasement, fire-resistant coatings, and enhanced fire detection and suppression systems. The selection of electrical materials and installation methods for healthcare facilities requires careful consideration of various factors, including fire safety, durability, chemical compatibility, and risk assessment. While PVC conduit may be suitable for certain applications in other types of buildings, its use under slabs and healthcare facilities is generally not recommended due to the potential risks associated with fire and toxic fumes. Alternative conduit materials such as RMC and EMT offer superior fire resistance and durability and are often the preferred choices for these critical applications. Always consult with local building officials, electrical inspectors, and qualified engineers to ensure that all electrical installations comply with the applicable codes and regulations and that the safety of patients, staff, and visitors is prioritized. In summary, the prohibition of PVC conduit under slabs in healthcare facilities is rooted in concerns about fire safety and the potential release of toxic fumes. Healthcare facilities are subject to stringent building codes that prioritize life safety, and the use of PVC conduit may not meet these requirements. Alternative conduit materials, such as RMC and EMT, offer superior fire resistance and are generally preferred for these applications. Consulting with local building officials and qualified engineers is essential to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. One should also consider the specific use case, such as if the facility is a hospital or even a dental office. The more critical the usage, the more important it is to ensure that the proper materials are being used. Furthermore, it is important to have the electrical plan stamped by a certified professional engineer so that it will be approved by the local municipality. If an engineer stamps a drawing, then that engineer is also taking on the liability for the electrical plan that is drawn. This is also something important to consider as well. Also, it is important to use the latest version of the National Electrical Code when designing the electrical plans as well. Using outdated standards is not a good idea, and depending on the jurisdiction, they may not allow it, because safety is always the primary concern. So it is very important to follow the guidelines and regulations set by the authorities.